Hello everybody, I'm Yoshikigami, President and Boss. I'm talking from Hamamatsu, Japan. So today Jeff is joining. Hello Jeff.
Hello, Yoshi-san. Great to see you. Hello, everyone. I'm Jeff Slingloff. I'm the product manager for Boss here in the United States. And once again, we're here with Yoshi Ikigami for Talks with Boss, which is basically a bi-weekly program which we do online to ask Yoshi himself for things about how, the ideas behind products, the introduction of new products, and things like that. And it's always fun and always entertaining and knowledgeable. And so, Yoshi, you want to tell us what our theme for today is?
Yes, today we are going to talk about a very hot item, GX-100. We informed last week. Yep.
Yeah, well, GX-100 is a modern guitar effects processor, which has high quality sound, of course, and extreme versatilities, right? This is a totally new lineup for us that realizes the most intuitive interface that we've come up with color touch display, which we'll talk a lot about throughout this conversation. And, of course, always pursuing just excellent sound and for guitar players, extremely good dynamics. It's onboard effects, are from a lot of our previous products, which we'll talk about. And, amps are for not only guitar, but for bass as well. Yoshi, what is the biggest feature for you on this product?
Yes, biggest feature of GX100 is touch display, color display, and also providing very modern and smart, intuitive user interface. So we decided to use touch color display. This is very much first time to use such a display for Boss. And then we can provide very intuitive, simple, and quick user interface. And providing this user interface, we had a lot of technical challenges. Color touch display is very big point of this GX100, but at the same time that GX100 is floor type multi-effect. So using live performance, we need to create a strong and durable unit. So this time we used a capacitive sensor for touch display that is keeping strength by using thicker display cover. Thicker display cover has to have a gap from display and your finger. So that is one of the big technical challenges for us. And so very durable protection of the display, and also a solid operation feel. It's kind of like an opposite side, but we are having very durable display and also providing very nice feeling of the display, touch display. So, and also touch display is not only drawing the display information. At the same time, we are providing very flexible block connection and also effect selecting. So that is connecting to the DSP control. So high-speed DSP control is another big challenge. So we provided very fast DSP control and also controlling touch display, so we could provide this very good user interface.
Yeah, and of course, one of the things that was important for it was high visibility, so it didn't get lost on stage, which has been a big point for even the GT1000 series, was to make it as bright as possible on stage, and having something that was durable, that wasn't delicate and stuff like that. So to make it rugged and boss worthy was important, which is great to hear. Is there any other unique points regarding this user interface that you would go along with that?
Yeah, a touch display is very much intuitive, but sometimes it's very much annoying to set the detailed parameters. So we decided to use 4 knobs. So this combination with phone knobs and the touch display provide a much more intuitive user interface. For example, if you want to add effect block and also changing effect chain, such a kind of like a big moving of the change, you can use a touch display. But very detailed setting of the parameters, you can use phone knobs. Sometimes, I'm a guy want to set 70 or something. I don't like 69 or 68. So these phone knobs are very much easy to set such detailed parameters. So you can choose, touch display and knobs to set the parameters.
Yeah, and certainly, with this, we're all accustomed to using smartphones and the whole delicate, moving your things, but that can get very difficult to get into, fine detailed numbers as you were just describing. So, I think it's really cool that we gave the user the ability to use direct knobs as well as to use the touch interface. And then of course, if they can tweak it, one thing at a time, but if they also need to jump large numbers, if they need to get from 100 milliseconds to 900 milliseconds, for example, they can push it down and turn to go even faster, which is kind of nice as well. So it's really nice functionality there. And then what I think was really quite helpful for thinking of the live usage was that we added the ability to lock those knobs so that when you're on stage, if you have a singer like I do who tends to accidentally step on your board, they're not going to be changing all those parameters while you're not looking. So it's really great that it was so delicate on the touch screen, even more delicate with fine knobs, and then completely locks itself out so that you can't be too clumsy, which I think is great. We do want to say hello to a few of our friends who've shown up. Hobo Roadie, Redcom. I like Chris. Thanks, boss is the boss. Appreciate that. Now, all of you at home have been probably seeing for the reactions for the past week. So we announced this last Thursday, the GX-100, and we've gotten a lot of internet conversation and fanfare on it, which has been really great. But there's been a lot of questions about it, like because we've got other products out there apparently that people want to compare against and know what the differences are. The one that's most obvious is the GT1000, which is our flagship. Maybe Yoshi, you could tell us the differences between GX100 and the differences of the GT1000 before we dive too deep into the GX100 details.
Yes. So GT1000 is still flagship model of our boss multi-effect, and we will introduce the detail later, but sound quality and those function GT1000 have much more flexible thing. So, and also we are going to update GT1000, so you will get another updated function very soon. And GX100 is definitely not replacement of GT1000. So some sound quality is inherited from GT1000, of course, but most biggest feature of GX100 is by using touch screens, providing very intuitive, smart sound creation. This is very much big concept of GX100. And also in some countries, we already start to sell GX100. So if you find GX100 at the shop, please try this point. This is very much cool and also big point of GX100 future.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting that we announced it last week and it's already showing up in some stores. So please, if you get a chance, get out right away and check it out. It's available in many places, so that's good to see. And you're gonna want to touch it here and play it yourself, I'm sure. We'll get into some more details of the GT1000 versus the GX100 comparison, but let's just talk about the GX100 for a minute here. Let's maybe just go into sound and basic specs. For example, do you want to introduce a little bit about the onboard amps that are in the GX100?
Yes, GX100 has 20 types of guitar amplifier and 3 types for bass. And they are all aired amps from GT1000. So we are using our latest technology, aired. So aired provides much more tube type of guitar amplifier sound and response you can enjoy.
Yeah, well, and aired is something we introduced a few years ago with the GT1000. It's on the GT1000 core. It's also on the IR200. And what aired is, it stands for augmented impulse response dynamics. Now, for years, people have been talking about impulse responses, right? But it's, I think the important part of this statement is the D for dynamics, because the way we study, research, and implement aired technology, it really captivates and captures the interaction of how the impedance of the speaker moving interacts with the tube amplifier, and it gives you a way to actually get that in a device like this, which is unheard of, and it's really quite tactile. If you've listened to any of the online demos and comparisons of us versus other products, it's not the same thing as playing it, so please put your hands on it and you'll know a lot about it. Yoshi, is there anything we would care to know about these amps?
Yeah, so it works totally like a guitar amplifier, tube amplifier. So that means you need to set input gain and volume at the correct position, especially if you are changing guitar like a single coil pickup to humbucker. They are totally different level. So you need to set input settings to correct position. Then you can get very dynamic amplifier sound with very low noise. And also at the same time, you need to set output select to correct position. Type of your amplifier, you need to change output select. Then you can getting maximum power of aired dynamic sound.
Yeah, it's really pretty cool. Like in all these products, if you go to the output section, you can choose what your destination is, and obviously the destination we all know is for like recording, studio monitors, but you can actually choose the type of amplifier you're plugging into in some detail. You can actually pick, like a JC120 or something like that, or the effects return of your tube half stack, for example. And what we've got in there is compensation, so that you're still getting the same dynamics, feel, and frequency response that you would expect from all the amp types when you're plugged into that. So aired is quite complex and quite capable, so please give that a shot. But one of the things, of course, in all of our devices, you can go in if you're recording direct, which a lot of people are going to do with this device, is, we've got mic and cab selections that are aligned with the aired amplifiers, but users can also import their own IR data. So if they have some cabinets that they want to capture, buy, trade, whatever, and import their own favorite cab tones in there, please do. It's a great option. And it really expands the possibilities for the amp tone, which is what most people are going to be intrigued about, is the aired performance and tone. But also Boss is known for effects. So maybe Yoshi, you want to talk about the onboard effects?
Yeah, so all effects are coming from GT1000. So GX100 has over 150 very high quality effects. And also I recommend to try Boss original X type of effects and amplifier. They are using MDP technology. So they are providing a little bit different effect and sound from current effect by using MDP technology. And also GX100 has some effect that are selected to bass. Yeah, so GX100 is working as bass match effect. So please try the bass effect as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned the MDP and the X series stuff. So X series, when you see an X in front of something, like X Crunch or something like that, it's using MDP technology, which stands for multi-dimensional processing. And basically, we look at like 16 different aspects of the signal that you're doing. And there's almost like an artificial intelligence figuring out what it should be doing for your compressor or for your amp tones, changing the way it works on that high note versus the low note in real time. So please check those out. They're very, very cool. And there's a lot of great X-type MDP effects in the device as well. So those, really glad you mentioned that. I'm also glad you mentioned that you can use these for both guitar and bass. Because sometimes for basses, things like choruses need to be set in a particular way, and you need a special effect for them. So not only are there great bass amp tones in there, but there's also some great effects for that, and the ability to adjust the instrument settings. Really, really, really cool. Now, having great effects is one thing, but having a great effects structure is another. And this is a pretty unique device. Could you explain the effects chain structure?
Yeah. So the effect chain, you can arrange 15 effect block freely. You can lay out everywhere 15 effect block in the effect chain. So you can select effect type or, of course, effect order by using touch display. Very much intuitive changing the order and the type. And that has no limitation. So that means if you want to all delays, of course you can do, but it depends on DSP capability. So you can create very creative, aggressive sound or crazy sound. Oh, for another example is how many HM2 you can use. If you're chainsaw guys, that is 9. You can use 9 HM2 at the same time. This is a crazy setting. Oh, you can see the chain.
Yeah, that's a pretty crazy amount of HM2s. And of course, now I want to do that. So when we finish this call, I might know what I'm doing at 1 in the morning. Yeah, so it's really cool that the effects blocks are not fixed. You can go ahead and choose and create your own, unique sounds, aggressive sounds, experimental sounds, just do them as you need. And of course, you can run 2 amps at a time, which is really cool. And there's a really unique device called a divider inside there. And the divider allows you to split things in parallel, put them side by side so you can have 2 stereo chains with effects. Or if you want 2 amps, one, running parallel to each other, that's fine. You can go for it. Or, you want a reverb and a chorus, but you don't want the reverb going through the chorus and the chorus going through the reverb. So you can run them parallel, just like people used to do in their big racks in the late 80s and early 90s. That was a common thing to do. And patch change time is super fast, sub 10 milliseconds. So you'll never get frustrated by that, which is really awesome. And, all this is great. But how many patches can we actually save inside the GX-100?
Yeah, you can save 200 patches, memories to the GX-100. And this time, our factory memory made by very talented guitarists like John Brown, Jack Gardiner, Jay Leonard. So all the factory patches are very high quality patches. So you don't need to get into complicated edit. If you just try the factory patch, then you can find the capability of GX-100, I believe.
Yeah, and there's a ton of great patches, which like even on the GT1000, Nita Strauss on many occasions has referred to the fact that her main sound that she tours and plays with was a GT1000 preset 1. So yeah. I'm sure that if you just sit down and start flipping through the patches, you'll find some things you can use. One of the things I've always loved about Boston Roland products is that when you save a patch, that pops up a menu and allows you to exchange it. So you don't have to write over something. So if I like patch 15, but I want it in position 1, I can just swap them, right? And, and I don't have to lose anything. And of course, there's an editor, so you could always get back to where you needed anyways. But it's just very exciting that there's such a plethora of great tones by a bunch of good patch writers that are already ready to go. It's just good performance, good sound. So maybe let's move on to functionality, because that's a nice place to go to. The full function of the GX-100, there's a lot of assignment ability. Could you explain or talk a little bit about how you can customize, foot switches and stuff?
Yeah, so GX100 has 8 foot switches, and we assign all foot switches to some functions as a default, but you can freely change that function. And also you can assign multiple functions to one single foot switch. For example, so you can use only one foot switch, then you can change delay and reverb at the same time on off or something.
Yeah, and things like the warp function, right? Which for the delay, they can be momentary switches, so they just hold for a second, and so whatever your usage or situation, there's a lot of capability. Do you have a favorite form of assigning those yourself, Yoshi?
Yes, current number function is very much useful. So that is when you select memory by foot switch, then same foot switch you can use the other function. So for example, when you want to have a guitar solo, select memory by foot switch, then push same foot switch again. If you assign delay, then you can add delay sound. So this is very much useful. Not only selecting memory, you can use same foot switch to the other function. And also expression pedal is very much useful as well. You can assign multiple functions to the expression pedal. So expression pedal works usually volume pedal, but if you turn the expression pedal to heel position, then we can set the tuner on function. And also, expression pedal has a 2 switch that's on the wah-wah or something. So that means you can use tuner switch for the other function. No need to have dedicated tuner foot switch. So that is kind of like, always if you don't want to have a sound when you're tuning, up to heel position, the volume pedal, then tuner is working, so you can tune your guitar. Then you can use tuner switch to the other function.
Yeah, so you explain a bunch of things that I think are really powerful, right? Like the fact that you could call up a preset and then there's a second push on the preset to turn something else on, right? Which is great. So I could have my solo version of that preset right underneath it, which is just really cool. And of course, using the expression pedal, not only for volume, but when you put it in the heel position, it turns on the tuner, right? Because the volume's off. Why not have the tuner on? It makes perfect sense. And there's a lot of things that users are really going to be capable of doing here. And then if they can, of course, add some additional external foot switches, correct? Yes.
So you can add the external foot switch and of course expression pedal, and also you can use MIDI. So you can control any parameters by using MIDI. That's so cool. And one of the things that I also love on there is that there's actually one jack that can go out to switch the A/B channel between your amplifier. So, if you're using this thing in like a 4 cable method or something like that, it can be telling your amplifier to switch back and forth between its clean sound and its distorted sound while also switching its own internal sounds. So it not only accepts things coming into it to tell it what to do, it's nicely expressing information outward, which is also really good. And then, of course, I don't think any multi-effects processor would be complete without a awesome effects send and return, which can be routed internally in the signal chain wherever you like. So you can easily, integrate your favorite pedals, just have them come on and off as part of your presets. Of course, you can assign the foot switch, so I can just turn that, favorite Boss distortion pedal on or off externally if I like, or whatever that pedal happens to be.
And of course, 4-cable method, which I'm a really big fan of using. A lot of professional artists use 4-cable method. For those of you at home, if you've never played around with 4-cable method, it sounds complex and it's little, takes 2 seconds to wrap your head around it, but it's a very, very powerful way to really expand the capability of your amp and of a device like this. So please look, we've got quick start videos on how to do that explain them really nicely. And there's lots of information online, and it's really nice to be able to, put effects in front of your amp and then put, delays and things post distortion so that they are nice and clean. So please try that out. Yoshi, is there any other useful functions that you'd want to tell anybody about?
Yes, GX100 has USB audio interface function. So you can use GX100 as an audio interface. So you can connect PC directly from GX100. No need to use anything, guitar, GX100 and PC, then you can start PC recording. And also, of course, GX100 has a phone output. So that works for live performance and recording, PC recording, and also practice at home. Everything you can do with only GX100. And also, Boston Studio is available for Windows and Mac. So the Boston Studio is working for sound creation, and also you create the sound backup. That is very much useful. And also if you use with an optional Bluetooth adapter, BT Dual, you can do same thing from iOS, Android, smartphone. That is cool.
Yeah, which, the Bluetooth ability first showed up on the GT-1000, which was really great. And then for this device, if we wanted to add it, we created the BT Dual, which has been shipping now for a little over a year, I think. And of course, that works with, the current Boss Cube Street 2, which is out, which, comes in both red and the black versions, which is really awesome. So it's really nice to see us take that device and now add it to this, and I'm sure we'll probably add it to future devices probably. And that allows us to now have all your presets and everything on your phone. So I remember when GT-1000 first came out, sitting in an airport, writing presets just by my phone, just for playing at first to see what I could do, and then getting to a show we were going to, and then testing them out live in real time. It was really fun. And what's nice about those is that you can download those right now. You can just pick up your phone and download them from Apple or whatever. So please check those out. It's really cool. So earlier in this conversation, Yoshi, you and I were talking a little bit about some of the differences of the GT-1000. Yeah. Maybe let's go a little bit deeper into that, if you don't mind, because it's really a big question on people's minds. So we know that the GX-100, the new product, is the successor with its amps and effects of the GT-1000. Mm-hmm. What else are some things different?
Yes. So basically, very basic spec is different. That is signal processing. GT-1000 has 32-bit, 96 kHz floating point signal processing with 32-bit AD and DA. GX100 has 24-bit, 48 kHz floating point processing with 24-bit AD and DA. So 32-bit and 24-bit, they are totally different on the spec. But I think it's maybe for guitar, 24-bit is enough. So maybe most of guys cannot hear any difference. So GX100 has enough high quality sound. And for parameters, GX100 has 18 effect and amp blocks that you can use at the same time. And these 18 blocks, you can use 15 for free selection to the effect in the amplifier. 3 are fixed to looper, send, return, and the divider. GT-1000 has 28, so 18 vs 28. So probably GT1000 can create much more detailed sound by using 28 block of the effects. So this is kind of like a professional. However, for a beginner or user who wants to have much more intuitive user interface, GX100 is much more easy to create the sound. At the hardware side, GT1000 has a much more flexible input-output configuration. So this works for probably professional situation, like live performance recording, every situation. So GT1000 has XLR sub-output, including main output, and also to send return. That is good for creating big system. And also GT1000 has 10 foot switch. GX100 has 8 foot switches. And GT1000 has 2 external control jack. So all input-output configuration, GT1000 is much more flexible.
Yeah, so one of the things that I'm glad you brought up, it's like, there's the audio capabilities of both. It's like you can use them both as an audio interface, plug right into your computer and be getting successful tracking tones instantly live into an amp. They both have, aired technology and stuff like that. But when you get into performing live, you might really, for a pro player, having the 2 effect sends, having the XLRs. The XLRs are in addition to regular 1/4 inch out, and you can actually, feed different things to the XLR that you're feeding out the 1/4 inch. So, there are some capabilities of running both a live amp with one sound and PA with completely different sound, or one gets wet effects and the other doesn't. These kinds of things. So the expandability and capabilities of GT1000 really show itself in a lot of ways in the hardware and a few other things in the DSP, which are really great. But sonically, when it comes to like the core sounds, pulling up one of the awesome core X amps or something like that, they're kind of, they're brother and sister, and they're really, 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 really cool. So thank you so much for the deep explanation there, Yoshi. I think the interface, is one of the biggest things that people are going to see, but the hardware is another place where you'll definitely notice the differences if you need those differences, right? And that's one of the things is that not everybody's going to, and you'll enjoy that. Before we get on to our next little thing here, I just wanted to say hello to Jared, Flatground TV, Nothing Pretty, About Synth, Atlas R2, and Robot Over. I think I got those all right. I'm reading them out of the side of my eye here, so hopefully I got it correct. So we talked a little bit about the hardware differences, some of the DSP differences.
Yeah.
Do they both have the same editors or something similar?
Yeah, GT1000, you can use editor by Bluetooth from your mobile phone or something. Of course, GX100 is possible to use such an editor, but need to use optional Bluetooth adapter BT Dual. But this BT Dual is not providing editing function, but also song streaming from your mobile phone. And also both GT1000 and GX100 has Windows PC editor is available. So it depends on what the purpose you want to use. So GT1000, GX100, yeah, you need to select suitable model. If you want to have a big system like a professional, or you want to edit the sound, much more intuitive interface.
Yeah, and the Bluetooth, I can't express how important for a professional artist that can really be. A great example of that is a while back we had an artist come into the office who they were getting ready to go on tour, and I forget why he was there. You had some questions and stuff like that, And I backed up his, because I was trying to show him how to use the editor, and I ended up backing up all his GT1000 presets on my phone. And then he had a gig 2 days later in Japan. And when he got to Japan, they had lost his unit. It hadn't shown up from the airport in time. So he had to rent one or borrow one. So he calls me, and I sent him his presets on my phone to his phone. And he downloaded them at the gig like 30 minutes before he had to play, right? Because it was that easy to do with the Bluetooth. So Bluetooth editor and just the patch librarian saving capability of it, it can be really, really professional. So huge advantages. So thank you for explaining those differences between those, Yoshi. It's always really cool. So I just want to say thanks to everybody for those explanations, and thanks for everybody for being here. So Yoshi, do you want to tell us what's coming up for our next Talk with Boss?
Yeah, next topic, we will inform on March 17th. That means, what is coming next?
Yeah. So on the 17th, we will be announcing what we will talk about, not on the 17th, but on the 23rd for Talks with Boss.
Yep.
So the next stream will be Wednesday, March 23rd. That'll be at 6:30 a.m. in the UK, 3:30 p.m. in Japan, and it'll be the evening before on March 22nd at 11:30 p.m. in Los Angeles, where I'm at. So we'll be excited to talk about that and whatever that topic happens to be that we hear on the 17th. Please be careful with when you're trying to figure out the time for that, because not only is it a couple weeks away, but also there's a time change for daylight savings coming up. So it'll be an hour different than you're probably used to. So please be here, as we'd love to see you at that point in time. As always, please leave your impressions, comments down below. We'd love to hear you guys talking about the products we just talked about now. We always, of course, love you talking about additional other Boss products and other subjects that you would like us to talk about in the future, right? Because as always, Yoshi is a wealth of information, and it's always very fun to hear it straight from him. So as always, Yoshi, thank you so much, and everyone, see you next time.
Thank you very much for joining, everybody. See you soon.